that decision by the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. There was a 7-3 bad decision that church buildings are somehow coercive. Just because you walk into one to have a non-religious experience, you might be influenced by the building itself, might try to convert you. So,
yeah, not funny.
The lawsuit he is referring to is the Elm School School District versus Doe regarding the use of a church for a high school graduation ceremony. And the Supreme Court allowed the previous ruling by the District Appeals Court to stand. The reason the District Court ruled against the school was because of the religious nature of the church. Obviously, according to the Americans United for Separation of Church and State, the church pews were filled with Bibles, hymnals, and cards for the purpose of conversion. And the lobby of the church also contained religious pamphlets and posters that were aimed at children and teens. And let's not forget about that big-ass cross where students would receive their diplomas. So in light of all of that, I'd say it's not appropriate for a public school graduation. Would it be appropriate to have a graduation ceremony at a mosque? Oh, hell no. That wouldn't fly with the Christians.
Sadly, they got that wrong, and the U.S. Supreme Court declined to hear it. You know, take a moment and discern the spirits.
Oh, God, here we go with stuff about spirits. Does it always need to come to nonsense like this? I discern that Klingenschmidt is an idiot.
If the atheist complainer is so uncomfortable when they walk into a church that there's something inside of them squirming and making them feel these feelings of hatred toward the cross of Jesus Christ, don't you think it's something inside of the atheist complainer that's wrong? I have a solution. Let's do an exorcism and cast the devil out of them, and then they'll feel comfortable when they walk into church. They won't have that squirming and that torment inside of them, but they'll be free to enjoy the worship of Jesus Christ. They'll be free to enjoy Almighty God, or even just a non-religious ceremony. They won't at least be offended when they walk into a church.
It sounds like he has shifted to talking about atheists in general. Those who don't want to go to a religious setting, it's not that they have Satan living inside of them. They're just simply uncomfortable. Many of us get uncomfortable in all sorts of situations. And in the case of the teens who didn't want their graduation ceremony held at the church, that's them. While we're on this issue, here are some questions that I would like to raise. Why are other schools allowed to rent churches for graduation? Why are people allowed to publicly pray at town hall meetings? Even a court ruling for the town of Elmbrook allows them to hold prayer at town hall meetings. It just seems like a double standard with regards to the separation of church and state. I can understand why non-Christian students would reject to having their graduation held at a church, and they have that right to object. I also understand the reason why schools often choose to rent churches for graduation ceremonies. Their facilities aren't adequate enough or comfortable for the event, such as in this case, and renting a church is a much cheaper alternative than renting another venue. I know in situations like this, it's easy for people to be upset that a handful of people can cause a problem for the vast majority. But if something is ruled unconstitutional, it's unconstitutional regardless of numbers. Personally, I'm not offended by crosses, churches, Ten Commandment plaques, manger scenes, Bibles, religious pamphlets, or posters. Sometimes I hear about lawsuits and incidents with schools and towns and businesses that I think are silly, but it's not really how you and I feel about it. It's about complying with the law and complying with the Constitution. This ruling should give a wake-up call to all those schools who are using churches for graduation ceremonies.